Welcome to a new test and teardown video. This time it's one of those fantastic handheld all-in-one instruments for antenna analyzing, and it's called a ROVER model, PDA-3. It's for analog and digital closed area TV. So that means it can also analyze analog. So that means composites video or something like that. But of course also it handles all the TV standards, digital whatever, with carriers up to 700, yeah, it says here, 5 to 870 megahertz. It is very, very big. You can, I don't know, with my hand here, I can't really hold it and push any of the buttons at the same time. I need to put it down and then I can clickety click. I don't know if there's any. No, you're gonna drop it. Definitely, it's really, really big. There's probably a lot of batteries inside. And yeah, there's a little speaker, serial port, power. Maybe that will be earphones or something. I even got the box. And it says a lot more about this and that. Oh, we got some levels, sensitivity, accuracy. We got a little. Where was? Oy. That will be all the support. See, the PDA-3 is the one that I got here. All the different frequency ranges built in. No, don't do that. Lot of yada yada. All sorts of gazillion million options depending on which one of the units you got. What is that? Simulated digital measurements, blah blah blah. Oh, so it also handles all these fascinating digital, okay, an average power meter, blah blah blah, whatever, yeah. Well, and I also got this, so you can go and play in rain. Well, first I think we need to open and inspect the batteries. Maybe they are all over the place with acids and stuff. So now we're inside, and it's quite obvious the way that they designed this. They're quite smart at this, by the way. You can see we got a radio system here. This is a normal TV or DAB receiver units. But here there's a little pre-scaler or pre-mixer or something like that, and there's even a little test point for the RF right there. And we can probably have a. I will try and see if we can go in there, and then we can see what is going on. We have the different bands and the different switches that handles the different things here. This is probably attenuator handlings or something like that, and this little receiver unit interfaces the main board using this connector, and this circuit board design is, again, I do circuit boards for a living, so this is something that I see immediately. So this idea with this circuit board layout is that they have all the horizontal and all the vertical on different layers, and this way they can make the layout pretty easy and fast. And that will be the battery. I don't know what kind of technology this is yet, but it's of course a little bit looser with heat melt glue, so maybe we can figure this out. Oh, CD. Oh, so it's a nickel cadmium. See, so it's pretty old. I can count the cells, and then I can easily figure out what kind of voltage I need to boot this up. So it's the actual voltage is written on the cell, so this is quite easy. 9.6 volts. So here is 9.6 volt applied to the unit, and there's an on-off. Ooh, it even says channel frequency audio, blah blah blah. I'll try and give it some signals and see what is going on. What else can we do here? Oh, we got some. Yeah, it's not. Oops. AV stereo, la 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 la. What else can we do? Tilt and volume and all sorts of things. And radio, it can even receive radio maybe. I don't data log, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of fancy features we can play with. I can't wait to try and put in something. So how about this? Can you hear? You can actually... Can you hear this click, 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 click? So this is the local radio. Oh, damn. Oh, so if I hold the on-off button, then it stopped doing this annoying sweepity thingy, and then it actually played the radio in a good and nice way. What is going on here? So now I'm done playing with the little FM radio that is just absolutely useless due to all the clickety-click and anything. But there's also a voltmeter and AC and DC at the same time. And I would assume this will be on the antenna port because it's also for CATV. So of course you want to know if there's any AC and DC, how is this working, because you can power cameras over the coax, obviously. But it just don't work. So let's try and see inside. Maybe we can figure out why this is not working. So I want to power this up and have a little bit deeper looks. So here inside the radio compartment, so to speak, here we got a little capacitor, and we also got something that's going on out here. So that's probably the AC and DC voltmeters, while all the higher frequency goes this way. And if you look a little bit careful, you can see the little diodes that goes. We have probably some attenuators that's going on here. See all those little resistors and diodes, diodes. So that will be some attenuators. And I also thought that maybe because of all those inductors, it could be filters, but it's more looking like an attenuator. You can either go through the attenuator or skip this stage depending on how you bias those diodes. And let's see if I can get a better picture of this. See here in this zoom, we can see the diodes. They call them 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 3 they will of course be biased on at the same time, or they skip this stage kind of diode number 2, right? And then it just goes on and on. We can even see the little value here on some of them, right? 15 or 18 or something like that. So this is clearly attenuators. See, we got different resistors up here. And then also got a little bit of resistors and diodes and some stuff that's connecting either this or that. Oh, look at that. Here. Oh, this is of course a injection or calibration that goes this way. Oh, that's quite interesting. So here is a little zoom in on this little receiver or tuner. So there's also a tuner here. So we've got two different bands of tuners. If we look a little bit at this picture, we can see it's pin 3 that goes into this TDA-6404, and it can do both VHF and UHF and all sorts of stuff. But I think they use this one for FM bands or probably some other frequency bands that is outside this big radio TV tuner they already got in this unit. And if we look a little bit more on that one, we can see it's always super nice and beautiful, the design. And you can imagine they are manufactured in very high volume, even with those little coils standing here. And look at this, some of them they couple and they adjust them and all that kind of stuff with different tappings and fantastic things. Tons of little diodes that selects different bands and different signal path, this or that. And of course some ICs and a little IF crystal oscillator and all that, PLL and stuff. And they're interfaced using I2C. So we got this right here. This probably goes to this to the main computer. And I also see some IF here that goes somewhere else. So maybe there's a lot more on the bottom of this circuit board. So let's have a little look. So I took out this circuit board and let's look a little bit on the bottom. There is nothing. And that is a little bit interesting. So that will be the I2C lines. And they probably go down to some of this. They probably control the attenuators, and also this part I talked about earlier is also I2C controlled. So what else can we do here? We need to look a little bit more at this. This is the tiny little display, and I haven't yet figured out how to open this. Just don't go out. Well, it looks like I need to desolder something, because it just don't, see? It's kind of stuck. So there's another circuit board and they're soldered together. What on earth did they think about here? I was able to pull this. It's all those connectors here. They were just stuck for whatever reason. So there's a little H8 microcontroller right here. It's doing everything. And this is of course a 2-layer circuit board, and the design here is quite amazing how much they were able to fit into this circuit board with only 2 layers. And they have done a little bit of smart things. I would like to show that in a second. So here is of course our main entry, and I bet all those diodes, it's probably a bridge rectifier, and this way you can see connect both AC or DC, but in case they put in AC, it's gonna be fine. Then there's a 5-volt output, so that is what this was for. It was not a headphones, but 5-volt for some, I don't know, whatever. If you plug in your headphones there, you're probably gonna blow them up. So it was good I didn't do that. And we got a little bit of TDA parts right there. I don't know exactly what this one is doing. On that is a little switch mode power supply, and there's probably another little switch mode power supply going on right there. So here is what I really wanted to show. Look at the tracks that goes on this side. Everything goes horizontal, and this is a little bit interesting. Also this. So let's swap on the other side. And this is of course how you connect things. But look at that. Here we got some signals from this connector here, and then they go all the way out here to go down to this part here, and then down to the CPU. But why is it doing it like that? Why not just take the tracks and put them down here directly to the pads you want? And that is quite simple. It's a 2-layer board, and there is no ground here. If I remove this ground and put the tracks right here, then I will interfere with the parts that we have right here. And that is why they need all those extra VS to put this down here and then skip again and skip down here. Isn't that fascinating how you need to think smart if you only got 2 tracks? And it's a little bit the same that is going on here. Let's try and see. I think it's a little bit funny. You come here and then flip over here and here. Where are you going? Oh, you're going all the way here, right? Well, there's a lot of VF flippity flip here just because of all that. Anyway, here we got a lot more radio receiver stuff and a 49 megahertz crystal. We got 2 different IF crystals for bandwidth selection and a little bit of adjustable components. So half of the receiver is located here, and there is a little serial interface with a RS-232 and a little calibration interface for internal use before the conversion probably. Maybe this is converted in Probably connected in parallel with this one. So I don't know why use this instead of that. You also need to know if this connector is good or not. And that will be the display connector, and all this, that will be the push buttons at the front. And let's look a little bit here. So this is something I really haven't figured out exactly why they're doing this. So this is a standard LCD display with backlight, and then this big bulky funky looking case with this big thingy and all this, and this is not doing anything. This is just helping us to show us what it can do, right? But it looks like they're also using the same shell for other products that's using a bigger screen. That is more like it. And you see those mounting, we are not using, see, we're not using any of them because we are up here. So that is what they can. Ooh, it's not. So here it is. This is how it's mounted. This little plastic here should probably be melted. That is more or less how you normally do this. And here is a little IC for, what is this doing? It's, but why are we having all those pins and then an IC? Yeah, this is a keyboard reader part. See? 923. So this will decode all the switches into binary codes, right? And yeah, I don't understand exactly what this is doing with all those. Why are we having that many? But anyway, I think this is more or less what I wanted to show. This instrument here isn't super interesting or anything. It is. I don't think it's working that well, and it seems to be it's more or less a defect, or I can't even use it for it. It's not detecting any AC or DC or anything at all like that, and I can't get the generator to work as well. So I don't think I want to keep this for very long, but it was fun to see what is inside anyway. It's actually a lot more than I first anticipated. So I want to say thank you very much for watching so far. Bye bye.